Hello, the story I'm going to read you today is called The Saddest Time, and this is actually 3 stories in one. So I'll read one of the stories right now. It's called Norma Simon. The pictures are by Jacqueline Rogers. These are all different stories about what happens when people die. Everybody dies. It's a normal part of life, but sometimes there can be a lot of feelings. And so these stories will help you learn about that. Each year on your birthday, people celebrate the day you were born. They sing happy birthday to you. They give you a cake and presents. Everyone feels glad. Your birthday, the beginning of your life, was a wonderful day in your family. The cake and the presents there. The end of life is called death. Flowers and trees die. Insects, fish, birds, and animals die. And people die too. When someone dies, that person is no longer alive to talk to play with, to love. When someone dies, it is a time for feeling sad. Michael will always remember the sad time when his Uncle Joe was dying. One day when Michael answered the phone, he knew right away it was bad news. Aunt Jane didn't say hi the way she usually did. No, she just said, "Michael, please let me talk to your mother." Michael watched Mom's face. Something was wrong. "Yes, Jane," Mom said, "we understand. We'll come by after supper. We love you." Mom hung up the phone. "Michael," she said, "you know how sick Uncle Joe has been. For a long time the doctors have tried to help him. But today they told Uncle Joe the terrible news, that there is nothing more that they can do." "Do you mean Uncle Joe is going to die?" Michael asked. His mother put her arms around him. "I'm afraid that's true," she said. "Uncle Joe isn't going to get better, and he is going to die pretty soon." So most of the time doctors can help you to get better, but sometimes there's nothing else they can do. Michael didn't eat much supper that night. Even chocolate pudding didn't taste good. He couldn't believe Uncle Joe was dying. He thought about his uncle when he used to be healthy and strong, just like Michael's dad. He remembered the fun he and his cousins Paul and Hannah had with the kites Uncle Joe made in his shop. Uncle Joe never stopped smiling when his kites were flying high. After dinner, Michael and his parents went to visit Uncle Joe. Michael felt shy. He didn't know what to say to his uncle, but Uncle Joe looked happy to see his nephew. "How's your basketball team?" he asked Michael. "We're getting better," Michael said. His uncle smiled. "I wish I could say the same." If you visit somebody who's very sick or dying, you might not know what to say, but they will just be happy to see you. When they got home, Michael asked his mom, "What if this happens to us? What if you or Dad were going to die?" It scared Michael to talk about dying. It scared him even to think about it. "I know you're frightened," his mother told him, "but don't worry about Dad and me. Most people don't die young like Uncle Joe. Your dad and I are strong and healthy and will probably live to be very old." Uncle Joe got sicker and sicker. One day Mom said, "Uncle Joe died this morning." Michael cried, and his mom and dad cried a lot too. For Aunt Jane, Paul, and Hannah, this was the hardest time of their lives. To help them, many people came to Uncle Joe's house. They came to tell his family they were sorry Uncle Joe died. Aunt Jane didn't know all of the people, but all of the people knew Uncle Joe. People came and went all day, but Uncle Joe's house felt empty and strange because Uncle Joe was gone. Michael wanted to help his aunt, so he fed the dog and carried in wood for the fire. Mom cooked and cleared the table, and Dad washed dishes. Aunt Jane and the children sat and listened to stories people told them about Uncle Joe. Sometimes it might help you to feel better when you hear stories about the person who has died, to help you remember them. And look, they're helping out in the kitchen, helping to feed the dog so that the family doesn't have to worry about those things. When all the people left, Aunt Jane thanked Michael, Mom, and Dad. Michael hugged his aunt and cousins. Michael wished Uncle Joe were still alive, but he knew that his wish couldn't come true. We can't bring Uncle Joe back, Dad said, but we can find ways to help his family. Thinking about ways he could help made Michael feel a little better. Tomorrow I'll rake their leaves, he said, and next spring I'll help plant the garden. And Michael knew that whenever he saw a high-flying kite, he would remember his Uncle Joe. But even though his Uncle Joe has died and he's not alive anymore, he can still remember him in his heart and think about all the happy times they had together. I hope this story helped answer some of your questions. I'll see you later. Bye.